Because I can do a really good commercial tomorrow and then for like a year have nothing.
In a career like acting, there will be rejections every single day.
People that want to build this world, they just need to know that you got to get ready for the rejections.
But are you strong enough to take those rejections?
A lot of times the rejection isn't that you were bad. The rejection is that, oh, but this guy looks exactly like the guy we need.
Taking acting classes don't make an actor.
They can't make you an actor. They're just there as a tool. It's definitely a talent. It's not a skill like a piano that you can learn like the coordinations for it. It doesn't work that way.
People who are not stuck or don't hold on to those outcomes really strongly are the ones who go far in life. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming today. I am really, really excited to have this conversation with you because I know being an actor and living an actor's life is not easy professionally or personally. And I have a lot of respect for all the actors out there who are constantly working on themselves and trying to make a career out of this. So we'll get into the process of acting, and obviously we'll talk about your journey. But how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a busy one because like when we get towards the end of the week, that's usually when comics get busier and like everything gets busy around that time.
Yeah, no, thank you for making time to do this.
I love the space. I like, especially because it's in the middle of the city, and like I'm born and raised in Chicago, so I love being like anywhere in the city pretty much.
That's awesome. So I would like us to backtrack, and I would like you to walk me through your first audition, because I know first are always special for a lot of people. So I would love to know, what was your first audition like, and how did that approach your journey going forward from there?
Well, there was the first audition, and then there was the first audition that I got, right? Because those are going to be two very different, like, and first of all, the time span is like ridiculous between the two, right? The first time I ever auditioned for something, it was for the show Shameless. It was supposed to be like the delivery guy, some guy who comes and gives a delivery. And I don't know, I think I was too young for the role, but I got the audition. So I went to go do the audition, and like, I don't know, I think I was overdoing it because like I didn't know. So I was overdoing it. So that was my first audition for that. And that was like, I think season 2 of the show or whatever. I think something like that. And the first time I got an audition was like years later when I was in LA, and like it was a print job. It was a job for like yeah, like a print ad for a pharmaceutical company, which was actually based in Chicago. So I was like, oh, well, what are the odds of that happening out of everything, And then so that was that first time. So yeah.
Awesome. And when we think about the South Asian culture and family backgrounds, there's always this perception that it's better for the kid to choose a field that is more stable,
Right.
financially stable,
Right.
do a 9 to 5,
Right, which is smart.
which is okay. I see.
Smart to do.
I see. Right. So I would love to know that what made you choose acting and stand-up comedy, especially when there's so many opinions around that engineering or medicine or law are just more stable career paths to go.
Well, I wasn't good at school. So they're right there. I was like, okay, well, then if I'm not good at this thing, I got to figure out something else that's going on. You know what I mean? So like, it wasn't that I wasn't good at school per se exactly, but it was just like there was nothing there that I wanted to do. So it was just like I was going, but I didn't like it. Ever since I was a kid, we had so many parent teacher conferences just because I wasn't good at this thing. I didn't like it. Although I went to good schools and stuff, but in general, I didn't like it. So I decided, I wanted to be an actor for a very long time. And then when I started acting or wanted to do it in like the mid 2000s, there wasn't that many Indian people doing this, so like that's why it was like, it'd be really cool to do this thing, I'd be the first one, want to be the first one. And then slowly and slowly people just kept popping up, doing it, which in one hand it was like, okay, great, now we have more opportunities. But on the other hand, it was like, oh man, I wanted to be the first, but like, it's okay. Because once somebody paves the road, it makes it easier for you. So I liked I liked doing it because I was starting to see other people doing it.
So can I make an assumption that you're the type of personality, you're the type of person who wants to do something different from the crowd? You want You want to stand out, which is why you just don't want to take the path.
Yeah, you know, when someone already does it, it's like
Yeah, it gets boring.
an example. When I wanted to do stand up, when I really got into it or whatever, there was no Indian stand up comedian that was that big. And then Russell Peters got really big. And it was like, oh man. But then at the same time, I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's like a fight and like this emotion that happens, especially when there's nothing and you want to be that first thing and then someone comes. But then, you know, obviously years later, then I performed with him and it was like the best thing ever. And then a lot of Indian comics started coming out after that, and it was fun. Then you start realizing that it doesn't matter being the first one of it or being the last one of it. You just want to be the one of the good ones of it.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right? It's not about first or last because that's stupid. You want to be the first, but then when people look back at it and be like, yeah, but it wasn't great. You don't want to do that, right? You always just, it doesn't matter if there's 100. You want to be one of the few that stands out.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very valid point because a lot of people end up doing things that they don't enjoy. They feel miserable about it, even though it pays well, right? So it's important to at least find something that you can tolerate or that you like.
Yeah, I would say it's probably better to be sad and rich than sad and poor because that's going to be twice the battle. Then you know, kind of, if you are getting paid and you're sad, then that's a different thing. You got to find your happiness. But when you don't have money and you're sad, then you're like twice as screwed. I would say. So I know you're making. I know somebody might be making a lot more money because like a lot of times we don't make money. We do a lot of stuff we don't make money. We do a lot of gigs where we like especially stand up comedy wise. Like we're doing all the time. Like I'm doing gigs all the time, and every comedian is. And if we do get paid, it's not that much until like later on when like when we start doing like bigger shows or like if I'm doing like a military tour or like a cruise or something, then that pays us a lot. But then the general everyday going up here and there. Well, we're not getting paid much. So if the money is your drive, then entertainment is not going to be your longevity because it's not going to happen for a little bit. And when it does, it'll be great, but for a little bit, it's not going to.
It's gonna take a really long time for you to be able to make money. So I think the point you bring in, which is really, really important to highlight, is that you should know what you want from your life.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person who wants more money and money is
Right.
just more important? Or are you the type of person who is fine making the bare minimum and then following your passion?
That's why a lot of people fall out of stand up comedy at like 4 years in or something. Like it seems like when I lived in LA, there's so many people that are like, "Oh, I used to do stand up for like 4 years," and like it's like everybody was just like 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, and something just happens. I think because when you have an expectation and it doesn't hit, then you just quit. Which is it's sensible in its way for a lot of other stuff too. It's like how long are you supposed to keep doing something before you see results for it? Because then it's just insanity. But like for me, for instance, and a lot of comics that do it for a long time and get good at it, get popular at it, they stuck through it, which was like I'm more interested in stage time to work out my material than I am with the pay for it. Because I know if I get my material right, if I get all that stage time, that's like being in the gym, right? If you want to be a bodybuilder, you're not getting paid every time you go to the gym. You're getting paid when you do the competition. And if you win the competition, then you get paid. It's the same way with stand-up comedy. I'm not getting paid every time I go on stage, but once I get a solid 45 minutes, then I can go on the road and then I'll get paid. Or then I can do something on TV and then I'll get paid. You see what I'm saying? So like that's what it is. So it's not if it's about money, then it's gonna be difficult for you. But if it's just about the craft, then you'll be fine.
Then you'll be fine. I believe it also depends on your personality, right? Because in a career like acting, there will be rejections every single day. But are you strong enough to take those rejections?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, this is this is the acting or stand-up comedy. Either one of these two careers are not ones that you see progression where like, in the 9 to 5 you see progression. Your money went up, at the end of this quarter we did well, so therefore now you get this perk. Now you're in a bigger office. Now you have this. Like there's a way to gauge it. There's no gauge in this. Cuz I can do a really good commercial tomorrow and then for like a year have nothing. So it's like there's no way to like um, compare it. So you don't get to really feel the growth. You just have to believe in the growth. Is really what it is. You know what I mean? You just have to make smart moves. And luckily, I have stand up comedy because there's a lot of actor friends that I have, especially in LA, who once they film their commercial for like 2 days or 3 days or whatever, then they don't know what's happening now. Now they got nothing. They got nothing. But at least with me, once I've done filming a spot on a TV show or something, then I have stand up like the very next day or 2 days later, you know, and I'm constantly like being creative. But the guys who are just acting, they struggle. It's lonely.
So, how do you mentally and emotionally prep yourself for rejections? You like does not matter.
I can't sit with this one because I have to get ready for the next audition that I have going on, or I got to get ready for my next show, and there's 300 people at that show, you know, and like, or there's like 1,000 Marines at this show or something like that, you know, like there's another task. And if you just put all your eggs in this one basket, then that's where it happens. Yeah. Like I remember when I was a kid in high school, and like the kids that were really good at school would be so sad if they got like a B on a test instead of an A. Like they'd be so sad. And then the rest of us who were just like, hey, I got a D, dude. Like, you know, like we were just happy that we just passed. That was the goal. So then it was easier to keep going. But with those guys, they were depressed, they were sad, they were all this stuff just because they didn't get the A. It was like, dude, like,
Yeah. No, no, I really like that attitude, and I think people who are not stuck or don't hold on to those outcomes really strongly are the ones who go far in life, right? Because they're constantly looking for the next work, and they're constantly hustling, and they have the right attitude. It's not always just about getting A, it's about doing the best you can and then moving on.
but then at the same time, this is somebody talking at my level, right? Then there's actors who are like, they have a deal, they have like a multi-million-dollar deal with like what, NBC or whatever it may be, and then that falls through.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. I can't talk on that, but that rejection is probably something completely different than what I'm talking about, right? I'm just talking about like for someone who's just wanting to start, or as now at my level where they have TV shows on their, you know, and have commercials, have stand up credits, have all this, you know, have now built a world. You know, so the people that want to build this world, they just need to know that you got to get ready for the rejections. Like that's not bad. That's good. And you got to remember, a lot of times the rejection isn't that you were bad. The rejection is that, oh, but yeah, but this guy looks exactly like the guy we need, you know, and then that's what it is, you know. Or sometimes, a lot of times Hollywood does this thing where they don't want to be racist, so they'll just do like all ethnicities, although they know they're picking a white guy. They know they're gonna pick a white guy. And I go to auditions and I do the auditions. I know they're picking a white guy for this, and I see it on TV later, and I'm like, that's a white guy, you know. And it's just like, but they do it just so they don't come off racist. And then it's like, okay, but then you can't feel bad about it because it's like it's like, what are you gonna do? Like sometimes I'll get an audition for someone who's 46, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't look 46, so I know I'm not gonna get that role, right? So I'm not worried about that rejection. It's fine. But like I said, it depends. You know, like if you're like an actor who got picked to do a superhero role and it got all the way to like the last point, and then they didn't, that must hurt. You know, but they already made the suit to your size, and like what, like I know this story from like this actor that I'm a big fan of. His name is Matt Bomer. He's like in the show called White Collar. He was supposed to be Superman. So they had him, like they had him in this whole suit. They made the suit for him, everything like that. And then the last minute, the director and the studio, they had a falling out. So they picked another director, and then he picked another person. So then he didn't get to be Superman, even though he was fully in it. Like that must be something I can't talk about because I don't know, you know. But that sounds like it sucks.
It does.
That's way more than a rejection. Because if you're doing 100 auditions, we're gonna be sad 100 times. No, you just keep it. It's like if you're a baseball player, right? You're gonna be sad every time you miss a swing. No, just be happy about the ones you hit, and that's what it's about.
No, I love that. No, I love that. And my next question was going to be about what do casting directors look for beyond just.
You know, a lot of times they have their idea of what they're looking for, but a lot of times they have no idea what they're looking for. That's why they're doing the audition. If they knew what they were looking for, they already know a whole bunch of actors. They just be like, hey, give me this person, this person, this person. You three come in, let me see. But they don't know. So that's why they're having the audition. So when you change your mindset of like going into the audition, oh, I'm auditioning for them, instead of, hey, you guys don't know who it is, I'm that guy. Watch. And then if you go in with that mindset, then it gets better and it becomes more fun because even if you didn't get the job, at least you had fun doing that back and forth. You got to be that character for like even 2 minutes, in that audition time.
No, definitely. I think if you want to get into this career, you should be able to audition every day consistently and take in the rejections.
Anything you're doing, I would say. I mean, I'm sure you've applied for like a promotion several times and you don't get it every time. That's just insane. There's no reason for you to get it every time. Or you go for job interviews, you don't get it. Okay, but there's another job interview ready, hopefully. Yeah. So,
No, absolutely. And a while back you spoke about the fact that there's not a lot of financial stability in the acting or the stand-up comedian career because there's a lot of uncertainty that comes with this. You're not getting the promotions, you're not getting a fixed hike every year, which is how it is in most of the 9 to 5. So in that case, right, how does one financially plan? Because again, you need money to survive.
gotta do something, right? You can't just. This is not like the '80s where people would just like get in their car and I'm just gonna drive west and then they just figure it out, sleep at the. I don't know. I don't think that's a logical way of going about because all that time you should be thinking of creative things. You're worried about financial. How am I paying this rent? So it's not smart. So it is good to have other things, which is why people are waiters, right? They're waiters and they do other stuff. I was, for instance, a bank teller for a very long time, and then I was a banker for a little bit. When I moved to LA, and then that wasn't the best option because it wasn't flexible with my audition stuff. Um, and then like I've had a lot of jobs, man. Like
Walk us through some of the jobs you have had. I would love to know.
stand up was actually the first job though. Like the first thing I got, like even though it was like $5, I still have it framed. It's $5, but it was still the first thing I got paid for. And then I was like a little league umpire. Then I worked at Circuit City. That was like an electronics store here. It was like Best Buy, but better. It's just terrible people ran it, but the store was better. Then I was working at the bank. There was a teller, then a banker, then lens crafters as a optician. So I worked with the eye doctor, and then I did that up until not that long ago. And then um, there was the acting, there was the modeling, stand up, um, and now I'm also an orthopedic massage therapist. So there's that. Yeah, that came out of nowhere. Like we went on a writer strike in LA, and like I was like, I got to do something because I saw it. I knew this wasn't going to be like a 2 month thing. I knew this was going to be a whole year because the minute that the writers went on strike and then they're asking for their demands, I was like, this is going to be a while. So then I went back to school, I went to massage therapy school and to learn, and yeah, so now I have that.
That's a very diverse skill set.
Well, I always think about that, like with Tom Cruise, for instance. This man has so many licenses, right? He has like a trucker's license, pilot license, real estate license. He doesn't need this. He's not selling any homes. But the point is to like learn, right? And I always was a fan of massage. Like I've always liked doing it. But now I just learned how to do like sports injuries and like fixing people's problems so they don't have to take medicine.
Nice. No, that is really interesting. And I know a lot of people have this perspective that if you do anything else besides acting, then you won't be able to focus on acting and you won't be able to get to the point where you would like to reach at because your focus is going to get divided as you're doing multiple things at the same time. But I disagree with that because I think you need money to fund your dreams. You cannot survive without money. What's your take on this?
I know those people that are like, you have to do just that thing and then that's it. And I wish I was like that. Those people to me seem like, the horses with like the blinders. They're just one. I unfortunately I am not like that. If I'm not busy, then my brain is gonna go into stuff that doesn't matter, and those things don't help me like mentally. So then I keep busy with stuff, which I'm sure is a problem. Some psychologists are gonna say it's a problem. They always find a problem with everything. So I stay busy so that my brain doesn't.
A psychologist right before you.
Okay, did they tell you anything about this? like mind drifting.
No, we spoke about relationships, which I'll come to because that's also part of the conversation.
Yeah, but like I like staying busy so I don't drift. Like I love photography. I love editing, like Photoshop. I love Photoshop. So I love doing like photography of stuff, you know. So that's something that like I do a lot for comics when they're on stage. I'll take a really cool photo for them. Or just in general, I do it for like all the family and stuff like that. I like doing my photography.
No, that is really cool, and I completely agree with you because, like I said, you need money to survive.
Yeah, yeah, no, like add all the colors to the rainbow you can, you know. Like if some people's rainbow is literally work home. They have two colors in there, and I was like, this is not going to be nice to look at. Add colors to this thing, make it look nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you're the kind of person who is constantly looking to learn new skills, then that's also going to help you in your acting performance.
I mean, nothing bad's gonna come out of it. There's nothing bad that's gonna come out of it. Like I know I love doing card tricks, right? With cards. But that's never I'm never gonna be like doing that as a profession anywhere. But I do it because it's fun. It's fun to learn, right? So like it's one of those things where learn a skill. Dude. Learn all the skills you can. It's fun, you know.
No, I love that. How do you think actors can differentiate themselves in a saturated market? Because let's face it, there is a lot of competition, right? So, what are some of the things that one can do to set themselves apart from the crowd
As an actor,
as an actor?
I mean, you know, it depends on what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, there might be a lot of people doing it, but there's not a lot of people doing it, right? There's a lot of people that might be auditioning, but that doesn't mean there's a lot of people booking the job. Right. Learning, you know, taking your classes. Classes don't make you, they can't make you an actor. They're just there as a tool, right? Like, there's a lot of actors on TV that never been to acting school ever, and then there's other actors who are on, like Leonardo DiCaprio still takes classes, like for instance, you know, or like you know, there's actors that do it still, and they don't, you know, they do it because it sharpens their craft, right? It's like, you know, you wanna just keep it going. So that's something you can do that's different. You know, you can take classes, making sure you're healthy, looking nice is very important, right? Like being in shape. There's so many actors that we see get in shape after they make a lot of money, and after it all happens, then they start exercising or eating well. Just do it now, and then you can start getting those things. You know, if you look well, then you're gonna get more like people are gonna look at you more confidently because you look confident. Because you, there's only two things in our control. It's really what we wear and what we eat. These are the only two things. Everything else is like outside things, you know, that we accept or decline or whatever. But these are the two things that we make a choice for.
No, and I like how you emphasized on appearance because I also hear from a lot of actors, aspiring actors, especially that it's how good we are in our craft that's gonna get us to that point. But I disagree with that. I think if you want to be a public figure, if you want to be an actor, the way you present yourself and the way you look plays a huge part. Otherwise, why would someone watch you? As
Yeah,
harsh as it sounds.
it's a thing where like you know they could tell you that like I want to be this thing. I want to be a celebrity. I want to be this. It's like, yeah, but like, yeah, it's like yeah, everyone wants to be something. Like, but the only people that make it are the ones who take action, right? Like, just do that. You know, take the action. But that's really all it is. Just roll the dice. You know, like get on the stage, take the acting class, take. You know, like how many people on Instagram think they're models? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what qualifies you to be a model? You can take pictures and put on Instagram. I guess now you're considered a model. But was that the image you wanted from the beginning, or did you want to get signed with like yeah, and then start doing catwalk or whatever else it may be, you know? But I mean, do it, do something, just do something. Like I see people constantly looking at like gym stuff, you know, like you know to get motivated. It's like you already know, especially if you're in your 30s. If you're in your 30s, by this point, you know what you should be eating and you know what exercises you should be doing. Like there's no reason to like research more and more in this. Just take some action.
No, I completely agree with that. And did you also just mention, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you mentioned that taking acting classes don't make an actor,
Right.
right? I I I would like us to go back and like revisit this point, because I think that is so true. What you learn in a classroom will only give you this much knowledge, but if you don't implement it, then there is no point. It's gonna go to waste.
Right. Like if like not everybody who has acting classes underneath their belt doesn't make them good actors. It's not how this works, you know? Like at the end of the day you gotta have that like that fire, right?
Would
Like
you call it a talent or just
yeah, it's definitely a talent. It's not a skill. It's not like a like an instrument or like a piano that you can learn like the coordinations for it. It doesn't work that way. Like especially with like stand-up comedy, I really believe you have it or you don't have it. Like there's no 50-50 on this one. You know, you can tell someone how to speak, but then you can't teach them how to write. And if you teach them how to write, you can't teach them how to do the stage thing because they're mimicking. They're acting. They're not just being. You got to be it, you know.
it's also your sense of humor, which is either there or not.
Yeah, yeah, your thought process. Yeah. Your thought process is a pretty big one, you know what I mean? Or like what type of funny you are. That's also a thing, you know. Like you can be funny with your friends, but the minute there's a microphone in front of you, and you're like, it's not gonna be funny.
But do you think something like acting or even stand-up comedy can be learned over time?
I mean,
And if so, what's the process?
I know people that have been performing stand up for like quite a while. They're still not good, but I mean, it is something that could happen. I mean, it can. You never know. You know, I truly believe in like if it's acting or stand up comedy or like anything major, I really believe 70% of it is luck. Like it's not just happening. You could be like there's so many comedians that I know that are so good and they just are not on TV. They just don't have that following, you know, it just doesn't happen. And it sucks, but it's like that tells you that it's and then there's a lot of terrible people on TV acting. Who are like, how did you get this huge role? You're terrible. But like that's get luck.
How about social media, right? Because these days this influencer culture has become a norm, and I'm hearing from a lot of people that casting directors pick actors based on their follower count and less on the talent.
That happens a lot, and let me. I mean, obviously, we all hear it, and we already form an opinion. But I'm just gonna tell you the other side of this, of what the casting directors are thinking. Okay, they're going, "Hey, we have this person that's good, but then no one knows them. But then this person, if we put on who has 200,000 followers, right, or whatever, million followers, whatever, right? So if we cast them, they're gonna market them on set. They're gonna market them on like filming this or whatever. We're already gonna have a million people knowing about this before we even get to marketing it to people. They're worried about money. They're not talent people. They are money people. They are the people that are trying to make money on this project because they have a lot of people who put money in the project. Everyone's trying to get not just their money back, but more. Everyone, studio, everybody. And if that person has a million followers and a million more people are going to see this, that's like free marketing. So that's what they're looking at it from a technical point of view. And an artist is looking at it for, yeah, but the character would be better if this person did it, which will therefore would make the movie better. And then that's the battle. That's the battle.
No, actually, I see where that perspective comes from, because I'll tell you a story. So this was a year back. I produced a music video. We shot in Mumbai, Mud Island. Uh, and my perspective as a producer at that time was that I need someone who can bring views, because more views, more money, right? So I was more inclined towards taking someone like an influencer, like a YouTuber, because I know their audience will come and watch the music video. But based on my experience, it always does not translate into profit, because views, followers, all of these engagement these days can be brought.
So gamble with the person who has a million people following them. That's the thing. Like if it's gonna be a gamble anyway, let's go with the person who's gonna be able to help the odds. Because we anything in life we do is based on odds. What are the odds? Is it above 50? And I'll do it. If it's below 50, then we probably shouldn't do it. So if the odds are higher with that person, they're gonna go with the money. It's all about asses and seats.
Yeah.
More people that sees it, that's what makes it. And then I see their perspective of it. It's just that's where art kind of dies when you do that.
But what's your personal opinion about this whole debate?
About if they should do that.
Yeah.
Well,
As an actor, as an artist, what's your
see, I think I understand why they would do it, and I don't know if I agree with it because I'm on the artist side, but I strongly see the other side of this because yeah, maybe the art of that actor might not be there because now they pick somebody who's a celeb, like a online celebrity or whatever, but the camera guy, that's still talent. The editor, that's still talent. The director, that's still talent. Like these are the whole bunch of other talents are still happening here, and they're all gonna benefit if this project does well. So if by moving this one piece makes the whole project more like profitable, more famous, and then work on how did that person become this big celebrity online? How did they do that? That didn't just happen. They weren't. There was no nepotism with that. They did something, right? So they also have their art. So I don't know. I think it should. If that's, but they shouldn't base it on that with like major things. Although nepotism is a pretty big thing, right? We know that. Knowing Bollywood, we know that. So they're picking people again. Same thing. They're picking these celebrity children because people are gonna go. They know their dads.
so there's that nostalgia.
Same thing. We've seen it for years, for decades in India. So it's the same concept.
That is really interesting. Now, I don't know if I completely agree with this because okay, you spoke about nepotism, right? So we see an actor who is not talented. We know they cannot justify the role, and they're getting a project again and again and again, and they're working with some of the best directors, but they're not able to do the justice. So sure, an audience will come and see a Janvi Kapoor's movie because she is the daughter of legendary Sri Devi, but they'll do it once. But if
See, that's the nepotism. That's what the problem with nepotism is, and that's what I feel like in India they don't get. The nepotism people don't understand what people are saying when they're saying nepotism. Nepotism is not like my dad owns a bank, so when I'm 26 now and got my degree as a CPA, they're like, okay, well obviously now you're gonna be at the bank and next in line. That's nepotism. Okay, you're next in line because qualify. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not saying, okay, your dad is a director, so you got this movie. Fine. But the movie did bad, and you got another one. And that one did bad, and you got another one.
Yeah.
And you got another one. And then here's nepotism at its maximum is like 7, 8 years, maybe even 10 years down the line. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
They have that choice. I'm done. And then 10 years later, they go, no, I want to come back. I want to make a comeback. And they come back and they have a huge movie. That's nepotism, right? So that is what nepotism means. Not like, you got the opportunity. Absolutely, you deserve the opportunity. Your dad is a huge producer, a huge director. Of course you should get that movie. But when you keep getting the movie, or, and it's just like,
then you're taking away a chance from a deserving person.
yeah, but then the parents, the producer is caring about money. So that star is gonna bring in more.
But that doesn't always happen, right? Like recently, we have seen a lot of Bollywood movies that just flopped. So again, it's I think, and it's a tough question to answer and a tough discussion to have. But I just don't get how they keep on investing the money on that person when they're not making as much back. That logic is a little flawed.
It's not a nepotism problem. That is a whole media situation going on. Hollywood is losing a lot of money right now in movies, most movies, because no one's going to the movie theaters, or they've already paid online, and then there's that whole situation. So that's less of a nepotism problem. That's more of a business aspect of it, where the entertainment industry is just not making the money that they should be making.
And that can be because of variety of factors.
Mainly online,
Right.
that's what the actor strike was about in LA was Netflix is putting up the movie or the TV show, or whatever, but then they're not paying the actors. So then these guys are like, wait, hold on, what do you mean you're not paying us? So that was a big chunk of why there was a strike to begin with.
And I think these days the attention span of the audience is really less. If they can, they're constantly scrolling on Instagram, watching reels 15, 20 seconds.
Movie and on your phone at the same time. I tell you all the time. Yeah. We are not fully. We are not fully focused.
Sorry, change. We are not fully focused.
To like them, because them is like, I don't know.
We're part of them.
All, yes, it's the whole generation. It's my parents too on their WhatsApps, and it's like everyone 30-second videos, 1 minute videos. I don't know. I don't know how to fix the problem. I don't know. Like, it's too late. They already presented something, a fast way of doing something. So now to slow it down to like 3 minutes, it's gonna be hard. Yeah. You know.
Absolutely, I think we're just looking for the answers. We don't know the answer to this.
Yeah, there should be a huge power outage, like the one in Spain. And everything goes down for like a month, and we all go back to reading books.
But COVID.
Well, COVID, we still had the phone. That's what made it worse. That was the biggest contributor to this situation.
That's true.
And like, I don't know. I think now that we had COVID, we might not freak out as much next time something happens. Maybe, I don't know, because we'll be more like, okay, well then we know what stopping everything is.
No, that's interesting. So we spoke about rejection, we spoke about nepotism. I would also like to highlight casting couch, which a lot of new actors face uh, in Bollywood and in Hollywood as well. I was reading very scary stories just like few days back. How does a new actor navigate through that situation? Because when you're new, you don't want to upset people, right? You don't want to be in someone's bad books, but then you also want to protect yourself and not fall prey to this practice.
You know, I don't know if it's a bad thing. No one's ever asked me. I don't know. I've never been in a casting couch situation. No one's wanted a casting couch with me, I guess. I don't know. No, but like, I don't know. I would say if the reasoning there is I don't want to get somebody else upset, then that's stupid because forget them. Like if someone's doing something wrong, they're doing something wrong. Like that's it. Um, so I mean, you guys, you're more worried about somebody else than yourself. Then there's another issue that you need to start thinking about here. So figure out what's going on with you and why that's such a big deal. There's so many people, like I know there was a time when we had like Harvey Weinsteins and stuff like that, but it seems less and less now because more and more producers have popped up, more and more people have money, so more and more people want to produce things. There's a lot of projects. Skip it. Don't put yourself in that situation. Get yourself out of the situation, but mainly tell people about the situation regardless of whatever. Like, that's the problem. I think a lot of people who are like victims don't speak up. If you did just change that one thing with speaking up, then I think a lot of that might get better for someone else, so someone else doesn't have to deal with it. So I think maybe.
No, I like that. I think it's important to be vocal and not be afraid, because if you're afraid, other people will see that and you'll face the same situation over and over again.
Right, it's a pattern, right? To break the pattern, the only way to break the pattern is to point out the pattern.
Now, I would like to get to my favorite topic, which is loyalty and romantic relationships, right? I think I hear from a lot of people that it's difficult to find a partner who's going to understand the uncertainties that come with this career. What's your take?
Absolutely. No, I've had relationships that were, but this was kind of the main source of like, not the main source of issue, but like definitely an issue of like the instability, especially when like I'm in a career where I'm getting paid every so often. Yes, when I am getting paid, it's getting paid well, but it's a gamble, right? And then that uncertainty gets them uncertain, and then they see people that are, their siblings or their best friends, and then those couples are advancing financially speaking because they're in like a structured 9 to 5 401k, big car loan, house loan, like everything is like set, and we're just like it's rocky. So you can stick with people and then take the gamble and then believe in like they can do it. But at the same time, if you are like honestly like you're not that good or she's not that great at this thing, I can't be with it, then leave early because it's hard later on for us to process that because of this thing that we're already convincing ourselves to keep going with, and then somebody else comes and leaves, and it's like it's a rocky situation. So let them know that you it's too unstable for you, and that's why you're going. But go soon. Don't wait it out. Or if you're gonna wait it out, then wait it out. Like who was that? Ayushmann Khurrana's wife, right? Like he didn't have any money, for the longest time, and she was like pretty much, paying for everything, just. But it's not in a bad way of like she paid for everything. It was more like she was doing that half. So now when he's here now, she's golden. Like that's the goal, right? So that's what it is. You see it a lot of times the other way around, but even as like a man in general, when you're not like providing, it's already like that's a stress of its own, just genetically speaking. So yeah, it's already a tough situation when you're a guy in that situation. That's why a lot of them are a lot of celebrities are single for a very like they get usually married later in life until they get it like solid, and then they you know
Yeah, no, of course. And I think it's also very important to have an understanding partner, someone who gets that, you know, the other person will be out, they'll be in different parties, they'll be acting opposite, opposite the like opposite gender, they'll have intimate scenes. So like you should be willing to take all of that.
it's a lot of security, I would say. But
Can't be with an insecure person.
right, I mean, like, look, if you're with a stand-up comedian, right, and I'm like, if I'm dating somebody who has a 9 to 5, they're coming home at like 5:36 maybe, right? I have to be at the first show at 7:30 ish, and then I'm not gonna be home till like 10. But if I have two shows that night, then that's a whole different thing. So then you're really getting 3 hours with this person, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. I mean, yes, it doesn't happen every night, but it does happen a good couple times a week. And for a lot of people, they're not accepting of that. They don't want that to happen. And I feel like those people also shouldn't date doctors because doctors have to just up and leave too. So if you're not going to date the comedian, don't date the doctor either. Okay, but I guarantee they're going to stick with the doctor because of money. Yeah. So that ends up being the king every time. Okay, that like, you can get away with a lot of stuff if you have money.
When you have the money. No, absolutely. So, like, what kind of partner do you think it takes to be with an actor and have a healthy relationship?
It has to be someone with a lot of humor. Like they need to be humor. Like they can't. I would say the less sensitivity, the better. Yeah, we're already sensitive, like stereotypically speaking,
Yeah.
so then they can't add sensitivity. So someone who's not so sensitive would be a good one, not easily offended, understanding. I think cultured would be a good one, so that it's understandable. Where it's like, oh no, he has to go make the money right now. He has to go do this thing for us, and like that understanding is definitely important, which is hard to do for someone who doesn't have an art. Not everyone's an artist. It's impossible. It's not a thing. That's why we're an odd breed. It's not everyone has an art. Yeah, you like to draw something every so often on like a doodle, okay, but like an actual art that you're like, I'm gonna get paid a lot for this thing. Not everyone has that. So then they end up in their 9 to 5s, which is great, which is needed. It's way more needed. And then they have more structure, so it's different.
No, I like that, and I see where that thought comes from. That if you're with someone who is very sensitive and vulnerable, they'll take everything to heart. So they might be very loving, but they won't. They'll just be overly emotional,
Yeah.
and it's gonna affect the other partner.
But I would say with like anything, man, be the other person's peace. The older you get, yeah, the older you get, you're not worried about anything else. Just peace. Just don't invite new problems. Why did you look at that? Why did you open this thing? Why did you do like don't add problems. Like there's already problems that are gonna happen because that's life. Don't add it. Don't if you're not offended by things, then you won't cause any problems. Don't. Stop yourself from being offended so much, guys or girls. Like it's not just one. Like guys are easily offended too. It's like, bro, put the ego down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go to the gym, relax.
Yeah. And control your anger. We all get angry, but we should know how to regulate our emotions.
Emotions, yeah, you can't just eliminate anger. That's impossible.
It's about how you express it. Yeah.
Sure. Or like knowing the person's like explosiveness. Some people, and then like later on, then they explode, and then some people explode right away. And then like so it's knowing that too. There's no one's right, one's wrong on that one. It's just everyone just has their own timing of when they're upset. Or then people they try their best of like not exploding, and then they just become passive aggressive. Well, how many times have I told you? And then now you're just passively. Now you're just your volume changed, but your attitude didn't change. So,
No, that's really interesting. I would like to come to the next section, right? The next question I have is, what's one mindset shift that you think every aspiring actor should have?
like I'm sorry, what do you mean?
Like, I feel that it's important for actors to have a growth mindset, right? Like being able to take the rejections, being able to uh, take all the struggles that come with it. But I see a lot of aspiring actors lack that. Not just aspiring actors, I think a lot of people in this generation, in our generation, are not very patient. So, what do you think? What's one shift in their mindset that they have to make to survive in this industry?
I mean, it's gonna take its time. It's gonna take its course. Like it's not in your control. And that's I think that understanding in every field of your life will just make your life better if you're just like this is not in my control, so like I can't worry about it. I mean, I feel like a hypocrite saying that right now because I myself am anxious for a person. So like and that's uncertainties, but it's like it's not in my control when this happens. So I guess just knowing that is what I've been told is the secret to like calmness is just knowing that hey,
Just be calm. Like it is.
if I book it, I book it. If I don't book it, I don't book it. If I show up on set, if I remember my lines, I remember my lines. If I don't, I don't. I already studied. It's kind of like when I see like the singing shows, the people singing on like, American Idol or Indian Idol, whatever maybe. And like they're singing and they're so focused, and it's like you're not gonna get a good score because you're not just being. You already did all the practice. You already did all the riyaz, and like all that stuff. You did that already. So now you just relax, have fun with it. And then because if either way it's gonna go bad or if either way it's gonna go good, at least you had fun doing it. Because if you do bad and you didn't have fun, then that sucked two times.
And I think audience connect with people who are just being themselves and taking it easy, right? And having fun and enjoying the moment. That's very well visible on screen to the audience.
Yeah. Well, you want to just be who you are. I always say that, just be whoever you are. Even if you're an asshole, be an asshole. That's fine. Just but be who you are. Because if you're trying to be somebody else, then that person meets you again, and then you're somebody else again, and you're just somebody else every time. Then that's the problem. That's you're not consistent. Like there's no feeling there, and a lot of like online personalities have that issue. That when I meet them, it doesn't feel like they're present.
Online personality.
Yeah, like I don't know, social media people sometimes, which back in the day used to be like gossip column people, I guess. Not all of them, but like there's sometimes I meet people. That's what's good about meeting stand-up comedians when I'm a stand-up comedian because they're the most raw people you're gonna meet because they have to be the most them. And then so like it's fun talking to them because there's no acting going on.
No, I like the point you mentioned about social media influencers being a certain way and being very awkward in person.
Been to parties where there's a lot of them there, and it's so like, why is everyone being extra right now? Like, relax.
Because they're doing it for the camera.
I guess. I guess. You know, I remember stand-up comedians talking about that when they would go on like movie sets or like movie premieres, and they're like, everyone's just so like, yeah. Why is everyone being so smiley? Everyone's like, oh my god! It's like, why are we doing that? Who talks like that? No one talks like this. So just be regular. You chill. You can't be this excited to see everybody. It's not. No, you can't be excited to see every single person that you see. You're not a puppy.
That's a good one. You're not a puppy. Okay. Now this is the rapid fire round. So I have few questions for you. One Bollywood role that you wish you would have done better.
That I think I could have done better.
Yeah.
I don't all of them. I don't, no.
Give one or two.
I don't know. Honestly, like I would say anything that has anybody new in it right now, I probably could have done it better. But to be honest with you, the shows are so much better right now than the movies. Like Mismatched or like all those shows are so much better shows. Why aren't they better than the movies at this point? I would say that's what's going on. Is that I know there's a lot of movies that I would like to be a part of. I mean, a role that I think I could do better. I don't know. That's hard to say. But a movie that I would love to be part of is like Lapata Ladies or like, something like that. I like being in. Fortunately, I haven't gotten too many opportunities, but like being in character where I like have, where I'm someone else, not me. Like a beard or like some kind of like an older man or something. I love characters. I like that kind of acting for me more. So I'd love to do something like that.
So more character roles than commercial cinema.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's I love Lapata Ladies.
yeah, yeah. It was really well made.
Very well made movies that came out of Bollywood.
Script. It's about every time they start remaking stuff, that's where we have the problem. Like they already saw this. Like I feel like if you're a really big actor, really famous actor, you shouldn't be remaking. Leave the remaking to the people who don't have all the resources. Like you have all the resources. There's some major actors that I see that like have the best cameraman, best this, best that, best producer, best all the best of the best. And it's like you remade something somebody else already did.
Which actor are you talking about?
There's so many actors, right? But there's no one specifically that I'm talking about. But I'm saying the general essence of like remaking something as a star from another star of in another place. Then I don't know. I think you should create your own. And every time India does create their own, they do a really good job with it. I think so. Um, like some new, like different. Like Lagan was something that was completely different. Nothing came like that. Dil Chahta was something different. Nothing came like that. Then even like Dangal was something completely different.
That's all Amir Khan.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's go into Shah Rukh Khan stuff. Then he did Fan, right? Fan was different. I was a big fan of Fan. I thought that was different. Something different came here. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool. Sultan was good.
Bajrangi Bhaijaan.
John was good. Um, but the point of the matter is like whenever somebody comes, when they come with something different, I think it works well. I know box office wise, it's been better when they've been remaking all the South movies, like you know, any of the remakes really. They do really good at the box office, but it's like, do you really need it?
But I would like to say that Animal did well, but I would say that now the audience are getting bored of the same remakes.
Let me tell you why I think that's also happening of why they're making those. Because to leave your house and go to the theater, if you're gonna go to the theater, it's gonna be speakers. It's gonna be like that's gonna be an experience. And the only way to get that boom, that experience is gonna be an action movie. So the ones that are making the most movie money are the action movies. They're the ones making the most money because people are going to the theater for that. Because you got to go to the theater for some of these things. So I think that's why they're making them. But
Yeah, that is true, but I think it's also about have the action movie should have a story. It should have a concept, right? Just cannot be just put any like bunch of scenes together and you show to the audience, because I think recently we have had an example where a movie did not work so well by a
90s, especially Bollywood 90s fans, so storyline is not that important, or those movies would not have worked. Like it's just the songs are good, the whole aesthetic is good, and the actors are good. Yeah, story kind of goes a little bit back sometimes. But like I'm a big Govinda fan as an actor, a huge Govinda fan, and those movies did make the best of sense. But it was fun. He was fun. It was funny. The dancing was good, so that's why people went to go watch it. So story is very important to have. But for these action movies, the action, like the car flipping and him catching the guy from the car while it's flipping, or like some ridiculous thing like that. Like that's its own fun. That has its own base. Like there's people who love that.
So there is an audience for
Oh,
every
yeah.
type of cinema. In that's a very interesting perspective. One myth about acting that you would want to bust.
That acting is a lot of fun on set. It's not. It's not. Like the amount of times I've showed up to set at like they're like 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. showtime. Oh, that's another myth right here. That it's easy. It's not. I show up at 6 a.m., which means I have to be up at 4 a.m. 4:30, let's say, even if you're really pushing it. But you get a shower, you gotta get all that going. You show up to set, and I don't actually do any. I don't actually do the job until like 2 p.m. after lunch. So and then we'd shoot, and then I'm home at like 8. A man who woke up at 4 a.m. and you thought your 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 was hard. Yes, I'm not sitting at a laptop, but a lot of times we're jumping from thing to thing, actors in general, or like there's stuff happening here that's physical. Like it's not just like a breeze like we would assume, the stereotype is that it's so easy to do. No, it's a long day. It's exhausting.
And one more thing, a lot of times you're doing that same thing over and over again, and there are multiple takes and multiple shots from here. Like it's very exhausting.
Absolutely. I mean, there's times where like you get it right, and they had the budget for like the 3 cameras, and then you're fine because they got their angle. But sometimes it's like, okay, now we got to do it with this way. Okay, now we got to do it this way, or just you keep doing it, you keep doing it, and you got to keep that emotion every time. Because even if the camera's not on you, it's on the person in front of you, and the camera's on them, and they need to see you to have their expression. So, but sometimes I mean it's not like it's bad. Like it's fun. It's a fun thing to do, but it's tedious. It is exhausting. So
No, absolutely. Acting or fame, what matters to you more?
um so I know I'm supposed to say like acting is the thing, but fame brings the acting. If you're famous, you will get the acting gigs. Back to that 70% is luck, and the 30% is being good at what you're doing. If you are a celebrity, if you have the fame, that's the 70%. You made it. You have fame, so chances are, not every time, but chances are now you have opportunities then you can act. So if I had a genie right now, would make me the best actor or the most famous person. I'm going with the most famous person because then I'll be able to do acting. But if I can be the best actor, that doesn't mean I'm going to get any fame. That's not how that works. So fame.
A lot of great actors who were not able to achieve a lot of success, and we see a lot of mediocre actors who,
Terrible people on the soul every day.
yeah,
$100. So it's like
it's a lot of it is love. No, I like how blunt you are, because if it was someone else, I think 90% of the people would have said acting.
no. It's like that situation, that the hypothetical situation that people were giving like a long time ago, where they're like, would you rather take $500,000 or a meeting with Jay-Z? Take the $500,000. That's insane. That's what if he's in a bad mood or something? Like, like you can't. What is that gonna do for you, bro? Have the $500,000, invest the million, whatever, and make your money, and then he will be in the same room as you because now you'll be at that stature. So that's what it is. Don't paint people dreams that are just gonna, like, that's when the disappointment happens, when they get these expectations that are not real. It's a very fun thing. Just be honest with it. So
Most vulnerable moment in your career so far?
most vulnerable. What does that mean? What do you mean?
Uh, Something that emotionally broke you or was very draining or changed you as a person. It can be professionally or personally, but maybe combination of both.
Well, I think when COVID happened and everything stopped, and I was like, well, what am I doing now? That was a pretty big, like, oh shoot, I don't have a plan B. Like there's no net to catch me now. or I'm gonna have to do something like sit at a desk, and I just can't do it. I can't sit there 9 to 5 and doing the thing. It just my focus is not there, to do that job. So that really got me worried because like I can't focus and do that thing, and then this thing is not happening. Then what thing am I a part of here? So that was a whole thing that was a real big issue for me during 2020, 2021. It's like some people had an amazing COVID time. They loved it. They were just chilling. They weren't doing it. They loved it. I panicked. So I was not those. So I guess that was something. And then when I started doing stand-up comedy, then I moved to LA in 2012, and it was like starting all over again because I didn't know anybody, so it was like starting all over again. But then when I moved back to Chicago in like 2018-ish, that felt like starting all over again. Because I didn't know anybody like that. I didn't know that the club owners didn't know me. Yes, I came with materials, so that was good, but they didn't know me, so I felt like I was starting again. And then you know, it just kept feeling like I was starting again. And every time you feel like you're starting again, it's like, oh, great, another mountain. And there's always another mountain, by the way. You're never at the top of it. Because especially when you live in LA, there's always somebody ahead of you. There's always somebody making more. There's always somebody who's doing more. There's always somebody who's gonna just something more. So it kind of keeps you going, which is a good thing. If your perspective is like a fighter one, then it's a good thing. But some people get discouraged when they see like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, I just did that, but like, look at this guy. He's doing like three of these, like then that's not the way. It's not about what they did. It's what you're doing because they can like, you know, do terribly. And we're already in an industry where you can get canceled like that. You know what I mean? Like I can sneeze into my left hand instead of my right hand, and the left hand people are gonna be like, we're canceling him, and then that could be the end of that. So like you never know.
Advice you'll give to your 21-year-old self.
Um, for my 21-year-old self, oh man, there's so much. But I guess if we're just talking about acting stuff, it would be in Chicago a little bit longer
Why?
because I moved to LA when I was 23, and I feel like Chicago made a really big jump in like the stand-up field and the everything. Like Chicago made a really big change at that time. Right when I moved out of here, they made a big change, and nothing happened for me in LA booking jobs wise until 2015. So I had like 3 years where there was nothing. But in that 3 years, Chicago made such a big boom that I felt like I missed out on like that time here. Like the Laugh Factory opened, like a lot of stuff happened, and I just feel like had I stayed, it would have maybe made a difference. Although I love the memories and everything that I did in that time, it really made me who I was. But if I had to go back and like talk to this guy now, I would have been like, wait, hold on.
Be patient.
Take everything that's happening here right now. Because right now it's about to pop. Just take everything right here. And then Ellie will be there.
No, I like that because I think it's important to explore what exists locally instead of just moving out like that without having a plan.
Well, at the time when I moved, Chicago didn't have that boom yet.
Yeah.
So Chicago always had like there was a ceiling. Like it's the highest you're gonna be able to go. You can't.
Go.
Yeah. Like even now, like if you want to be on any of the major TV shows in Chicago, you can be on the show as like the role for the day, the nurse or something like that. Like the role for that day. But the main people, they're still casting out of LA. So those LA agents are gonna be where you need to be at the end of the day.
But for that you should be ready, right?
Oh yeah. Before you go to LA, make sure you have your SAG credits, which is hard as hell to get. Make sure you have good headshots and like a good reel, something that's gonna be different than everybody else. Connections. A lot of this industry is on referrals. Like somebody vouching, which is very hard to do because people don't want to vouch. They have a tough time reaching out for themselves, let alone somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's where making connection with people, like actually like being friends with people. Being friends with people means like a lot of people confuse being nice and friendly. These are not the same things. Okay, you can be nice to somebody, but it doesn't mean you're friendly. Friendly means like we're like friends. Like we talk, we hang out, we like be friends with people, man. A lot of people are lacking friends anyways. So be friends with people, make a good team, and then help each other out. That's really what it is. That's the secret of the whole thing is helping each other out until you make a team.
No, I love that, and I'm glad you mentioned about recommendations because it's the exact same way in corporate industry. Because I kid you not, this is my second job, and both the jobs that I got, obviously it was my resume and the way I did in the interview, but I was able to make it to the door was because I had a referral or someone recommended me. But I do feel that in acting industry, in entertainment industry, it's really difficult to get those recommendations as well, right? Or to make genuine friends. What's your take on friendships?
Is, and sometimes you get to a point where you have an agent now, you have a manager, and remember they're gonna get paid only when you get paid because they get a portion of your pay. We don't pay them like this is not like a I'm not paying them every week.
Yeah.
If I book a job, then they get a portion of that. So they want to get you a job. They want to look for what you're gonna fit perfectly in, and you want to do good there too. And then that's how that happens. But you want to make some kind of referral. Like I'll give you an example. When I came back to Chicago, I was like, man, like what am I gonna do? My agent was in LA. I'm not in LA now. I got to get an agent here. And then so I looked it up. Like, who's like the top agencies, and like I found my agency, which was Grossman and Jack, which is one of the oldest. They're amazing. So I looked at their roster, and they had like three comedians that I know that are really good friends of mine that they were being rep by them. My acting coach from my school was being rep by them, and another one of my friends from high school was being rep by them. So I just hit them up. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna reach out to Grossman and Jack like next week. Like if you could drop in like a just a heads up, that'd be awesome." They're all like, "Yeah, absolutely," like because they knew me. They saw my other work that I was doing. People want to vouch for people who are doing work. Not I want to be this. No, I don't care about your wants. I care about what you're doing. If you're doing it, then I'll help you. But I'm not gonna help you get the ball rolling. You gotta get the ball rolling. I will then help you get it wherever it needs to be. But so they saw my ball was already rolling. I was already in LA. I was doing major comedy clubs. I was doing all this good stuff. So by the time I reached out to Grossman and Jack, like they had reached out, like all of them somehow at the same time reached out. And so by the time I sent them the email, they already knew me and they were like, "Yes, please just come in. Let's talk." And we had the meeting and whatnot, and then that was it because they saw multiple people say, "Hey, he's good." So
Yeah. No, I think genuine friendships go a long way, but it's a give and take, right? Can't just be taking. You also have to give. Like there needs to be a certain value. What's your take on this? I know it's supposed to be a rapid fire, but I think your answers are just so engaging that it's just leading me to the next question. Yeah.
what was your
My so it's a thought, and you can add more to this if you have insights, but I think it's always a give and take, right? You can't just be taking from one person without really giving them anything. There needs to be a certain value in that friendship.
That's why friendship is what I said, right? Because friendship is that you're helping some. I mean you're like helping someone on your team. They're on your team because they can also contribute. That's what team is, right? That's what a teamwork is. Is not one person doing all the work. That's not teamwork. Teamwork is I do a little bit, you do a little bit, and that's how you make your team. So if they're on your team, that means they've already helped you, and you're helping them. And you're looking out for them. Like comedians vouch for other comedians for shows. Like, hey, I can't make it to this show, but put on so and so, or they reach out to somebody and be like, hey, are you free to do the show? Like it's the community. So yeah, you got to help people, especially the amount of people. But that doesn't always happen. Like there's a lot of people that I feel like I've helped, and there's no give back. And like I do it because I just think that's how every community should be. So I do it, but at some point you gotta draw a line and go, nah, they're not helping me ever.
Of course. No, I love that, and I loved our conversation. It was very blunt, straightforward. You were very vocal, and I think that those are the kind of people that we need who are able to show the reality and not sugarcoat things, right?
Yeah, sugarcoating is how people end up in a false image of something, and then it's hard to be real about it. So
Yeah. So I really appreciate you coming and sharing all of these insights. I really enjoyed this conversation, and thanks for being part of this.
thank you for having me. It's nice. It's a nice podcast. I like it. I like the room. Nice.